Hello everyone, Bertie and Films here. Recently I did a poll maybe about 1 or 2 weeks ago, and I asked my audience on YouTube if they wanted to hear more from me about the current state of things in Ireland, and it was overwhelming. I think it was around 95% yes. So I'm doing it because that's what you want. You know, at the end of the day, it's about creating content and videos that you want. So that's what I'm doing. I want to say something right off the bat. Everything I say in terms of my somewhat politically driven videos, because that's ultimately what they will be if I talk about anything to do with the current state of Ireland. It's ultimately political. Everything is just my opinion. I'm not an expert in this area. I'm not somebody that's a political commentator. I'm not somebody that has any sort of qualification or anything like that. It's just my personal experience, from my personal research, from my personal subjective experiences, from what I can see, from what I can actually see on the ground, from what I can gather about all the stuff I'm seeing online. And another thing that I want to preface everything with is that I never set out to do this. You will actually go back on my earlier videos and you can see that I've never ever wanted to do this. Did not want to do this at all, but I have no choice but to talk about this stuff. The main things is that I do believe Ireland is going down a very dark road. What I'm actually talking about is the political sphere. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm talking about how Ireland is being run, who's running it, and who the real masters are. That is always my main focus. The symptoms of these problems is actually little to do with the real issue. The real issue is the system, and the real issue is what's happening on a worldwide basis, and what's happening at an EU level, and what's happening in little old Ireland, the little Ireland there at the side of the Europe, because that's how they view us. They don't have any sort of respect at all in any way, shape or form. That has been the case. And if you want to know who that really is, will you just read a history book? Will you just actually invest a little bit of time, right? Because this has been happening since the Norman conquest of Ireland, or the attempted Norman conquest of Ireland. This has been happening. I don't even think the Vikings were that intentional in terms of their ideology or their philosophy or their religion or anything like that. The Normans were, the Anglo-Normans were more so, but the Vikings were more like marauders. They were kind of going all over the world, you know. But the Normans were certainly, they were hell-bent on, the Anglo-Normans, with the coming of the British Empire afterwards, they were hell-bent on conquering Ireland, you know. Now, I do believe the Vikings wanted power and wanted provincial kingships and maybe potentially a high kingship, but they couldn't quite get it, and maybe they weren't organized enough. You know, the Norman conquest was certainly an organized, much more organized situation. And unfortunately, the geography of Ireland, this is something I'm going to do a video on another time, but unfortunately, the geography of Ireland is very much against it in the end, because it played in our favor for a long time, but as technology went on, we just didn't have the ability to adapt. You know, as time moved on past the 12th century, we were still stuck kind of in our ways, you know, which served us well up until that point. But then ultimately it was inevitable that this hybrid force would come in, essentially the Anglo-Normans, because they were made up of all these different other conquerors. Now, I'll go into this another time. This is where it all began, and this has not stopped. Europe is 100%, the EU is not interested in Ireland as a nation. It's only interested in the EU as a new form of United States. That's what I believe. And look at how the government is going at the moment and who really is in control, because it does seem that the EU is basically running things. It is running Ireland, like. You know, if you don't think that's the case, then how come they're able to basically force us into things that that have no vote from the Irish people? Like, just think about that for a second. We have an entity that's forcing its will upon a nation that the people don't have a voice in. We are under the cosh of the EU, and the EU is not interested in Ireland as a nation. It's only interested in Ireland as a part of the EU and what the EU wants. The EU wants certain things, right? And that's what's important. It's not the nation state. The nation state is not important in the EU, right? It has no relevance. We have 1% of the vote in the EU. We've sold out our fisheries. We've sold out our seas. We've sold out so much for 12 ounces of silver. It's like giving billions and billions and billions to build up our infrastructure. But in the contract, the terms and the conditions of those billions was unmerciful things that were going to come in the future. You know, and huge debt. It's like an unforgiving mortgage to a bank lender that just does not give a shit about you. Basically becoming more and more diluted as a nation sovereign state. And it is becoming very much a part of the EU as a whole, not as a country. And that is where it's going, you know. In all of that, what you have is, I believe, decades of intellectuals and education systems that are put in place that have created a huge amount of people that cannot and will not see things from a logical, reasonable perspective. They only see things through political ideologies. And I do think there is a classism aspect to it as well. That there is this class wars going on, it seems, at the moment, because it seems the right are predominantly working class. It seems that way from what I can see. And you have this kind of intellectual, classist kind of viewpoint from the left, be it from a socio-economic point of view or even from an intellectual point of view. Because you see a lot of the comments that are coming in are from intellectuals or people who think they're intellectual, and or from people that they most likely have a degree, most likely are working in comfortable jobs, probably come from wealthy families. If not, they're certainly wealthy themselves, or they're not really affected by the problems that are happening in the country, which we all know is to do with immigration and to do with all of these things. They're not affected by it, like, you know. So there is this classism thing going on, and it seems that the country is more interested in being a company. GDP is more important than political philosophy. It seems to be more important than history. It seems to be more important than tradition and culture. And, you know, and there's an attack. There seems to be an attack on Christianity. There seems to be an attack on people that don't go along with this new zeitgeist. There seems to be an attack on traditional values. There seems to be an attack on just very basic values, like, you know. And it seems to be perpetuated through the mass media and the government. And that seems to be what the modus operandi is. But of course, now you do have this opposition happening from the people and from these other smaller media outlets and stuff that are trying to take this on. But ultimately, they're not necessarily backed at all from any sort of corporation, or it seems like all the corporations and all the money is going into the left. So it is really like this huge Goliath thing happening. So that's why I think Ireland is going down a dark road. It's going down a very dark road. And I think it's probably unstoppable. But you do see like people stopping things, you know, from happening. You know, you do see protests, and they're all very encouraging. But what you have ultimately is you have this this bombardment of name calling, shaming and bullying and manipulation through labels. And we all know those labels, right? I've been called these labels myself, you know. At the end of the day, it's so stupid. It's just beyond stupid. It's like basically bullying. It's like going into the playground and you have these big fat bullies like calling people names. That's all they know. You know, that's literally all they know. I do understand that on both sides of the fence, you do have idiots, you know, and I don't really identify with political ideologies. What I identify with is that what do I think is good, and what do I agree with? Where do I lean towards? I definitely lean towards more traditional views and values. Like I'm 40 years old now. I want to settle down, have kids, And I like, the thing is, my partner is an immigrant, like, you know, so nobody can really give me any shit like about being anti-immigration. Another thing that I think is so stupid. It doesn't even make any sense. There's so much idiocy and so much oversimplification and oversimplifying of things that it's just so silly, when really you could just logically, reasonably break all of this stuff down. You have a wedding. There's 1,000 capacity, right? 500 extra turn up. You say to them, listen, this is 1,000 people. We cannot fit anymore. There's not enough tables, not enough space, but we can bring in another 100 and we can manage with that. But that's it. The other 400 are going to say, but what about us? We're going to say, I'm sorry, we can't accommodate, because it's only 1,100 is actually over capacity and it's a health and safety issue. That other 400 may complain and they may go home disappointed. But really, we know in the wedding, we understand that in the wedding, this is actually, we're already overcapacitated at 1,100. And we kind of put up with it. Like, but we say, look, listen, generous, but if we say, if we just allow the security to let in 1,500 people into the wedding, then it creates chaos and it creates a health and safety problem. It creates a fight for resources in the wedding. It's basic common sense, you see? That is not about being political. It's just common effing sense. This is what I'm all about. I just want to, what is sensible? This is where all the problems are. This is where it's creating all this tension. And I actually think maybe it's down to the fact that probably it's more likely divide and conquer tactics. Our government doesn't give a shit about the Irish people. It does not care. There are some inside there that do. But those people in Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael especially, and Sinn Féin, you've sold it. The only way you can redeem yourself is by boycotting your party and getting rid of your paychecks, if so will, for the betterment of this country and Irish people, right? And for the immigrants that are already here, that are doing well, that are actually providing something for this country, including my girlfriend. And including a lot of immigrants that I work with that actually have the same complaints that I have, okay? There's a lot of immigrants in this country that are suffering because of this crazy shit that's going on at the moment. So listen, government, this is all about you. This is not about hate speech against anyone else, right? I won't even say I don't hate anyone, right? I actually am a Christian and I'm taught to love thy neighbour, and I actually do. My neighbours piss me off, yeah, but I love thy neighbour. So don't bring in your EU nonsense, right? And put it upon us, because the problem is it's all about you, government. It's all about you and what you've done and your decisions that you've made. It's all about the Irish government and what they've done. The Irish government, each and every single politician has a choice. You all can change this. You can change it. You can go against your party. You can be whistleblowers. You can change the game. If they have something on you, come clean about it, right? Change everything. Ye have the power. This Irish government can change absolutely everything if it wanted to. The Irish government are the reason why everything is so bad. The Irish government is the exact reason why everything is so bad. Is the government who has created the system that has allowed this stuff to happen, but also the government that continues to sell itself out to those people over in Brussels, who I think are actually predominantly bad people. Bad. It's not up for me to judge them. It's up for God to judge them. The government has every power to change everything. Each and every politician has the power, and walk away from those parties and come into the bosom of the people, the bosom of Ireland, of what we fought for in this country. This has been Bertie Brosnan Films. It's been a crazy one, I know. But anyway, you wanted it, so you're getting it. If you want to support me, leave a super chat. You can donate via YouTube comments. You can go on to my PayPal, my Buy Me a Coffee, Stripe. It's all in the video description. You can buy my book, The Forgotten Prince, buy my merch, YouTube Bertie. There's actually the discount code. The discount code is included in the link in the description. Any of those things really help the cause. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos for the next couple of weeks, like a lot more, because I have a bit of a break from work. So if you want more of these videos, make sure you let me know. For people that donate towards it, I will definitely do more for those people, especially if you donate. I'm very grateful for you watching this. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you sign up to the email list. Get your free PDFs, and I will always let you know when there's a new video out. God bless everyone. Gorimila Maha Gwiv Galermo Corja. Be me the kind. Slán go fóill.